manually typing Git commands for the everyday tasks. So if you're a developer, you are a programmer, you are a software engineer, you must recognize Git, right? Because you need to use a version control sometime in your life. So you recognize, I'm sure of it, the commands pull, push, pull request, and so on. And we programmers feel so smart just because we can type. My daughter can type, but we feel so smart because we can type. But we are not typing in Microsoft Word, we are not typing in Notepad, nor anything like that. We are typing in a command line. So we feel so smart about this. The problem is that I have seen a lot of developers wasting time every now and then looking for documentation of how to enter other commands that are not pull, push, pull request, all those commands that you use almost every day. And the problem with this is that we have software dedicated that are free to actually manage everything that about Git. And you will say, yeah, but I work in a giant firm, or I work in a place that I cannot install just about anything that I want, and I just can't install, no, rely in those that free software. I would not mention specific names because I would not be mentioning, advertising stuff for free. But I'm sure that there are like, yeah, free client software to actually do the work that these commands does for every day. But yeah, I can get that maybe you don't want to install something external just to work with your code, your code repository, your local code repository. I am sure, almost 99.9% sure, that right now in 2024 your favorite IDE has some kind of interface to do, to click a button that will trigger the everyday task commands that we need to use almost every day. So another argument that I have heard about this is that I have heard against this idea that I have shared before in other places is, okay, Samuel, but I am a Git administrator, and sometimes I need more than a couple of commands to achieve something because something was broke, the master branch got infected, we need to roll back, etc., etc. So I cannot rely on these buttons or front end, clients or programs specifically made for this. I need to have the knowledge to actually do a healthy administration of the Git repository. The problem with that argument is that I agree, but if I have 100 developers watching this video right now at the same time, I'm almost sure, I don't have evidence of this, but I'm almost sure that not even 20 of you right now, not that you were in the past, not that you are going to be in the future, right now, for each 100 of developers watching this video, not even 20 of you are a Git administration or a Git administrator right now. You are not. The issue is that I have seen developers every single day or every 3 days wasting their time, looking for Git documentation in order to enter some commands. And the problem with this, if you want to do this, outside the office because you want to actually understand how Git works, that's awesome. And I actually applaud that. I do that in my free time. I like to learn. But when you do this in the office and you spend 1 hour, looking for documentation that my goodness, you can solve with the click of a couple of buttons. You are wasting your time and you are billing your client for the time that you are wasting because you want to feel so smart. At the end of the day, I know that nothing is definitive in our world, in the software development world, but I'm really, really sure, that maybe more than 80% of you guys can rely in an interface to actually trigger all these commands, and you don't need to write it nor look for documentation. And don't get me started. Don't get me started with this argument that I can type faster than I can look for the commands for the buttons in the interface. Because I assure you, I'm sure that my grandma will click a button faster than you trying to type the push command. So I don't want to hear. Preferring to use or to write plain JavaScript or vanilla JavaScript instead of using JavaScript libraries or JavaScript frameworks, front-end frameworks. I get that JavaScript have come a long way. I get that it will be easier today to write plain JavaScript than it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Maybe even easier than 1 year ago. The problem is that if you're working in this kind of environment, this kind of architecture, when you have all the microservices all over around, all over the place, and I will speak about the microservice architecture soon in this video. But if you have that kind of environment and you are in charge or you are in a group of developers that solely write and maintain the front end project, and you are writing plain JavaScript to maintain the whole front end, you are wasting your time. You are billing the client for the waste of your time. Like, even today, even in 2024 today, it will be very hard for me to be convinced that plain JavaScript is easier to just write jQuery. And I get, oh my god, but I don't want to rely on an external library, because if there's a security issue, then I need to update the external library. Oh my god, you need to update the external library. Oh my god, you need to click a button to actually update the external, to download the latest version of the library. Oh my god, that's so hard. But how much time you waste? To looking for the documentation of plain JavaScript? Actually, if you were, because this, younger people that comes out of college do not work with jQuery anymore. I get it, and I'm using just jQuery as an example because it's a library that I like so much even nowadays. But there is a lot of JavaScript libraries, and these apply for for many of those libraries. Like, if you are going to tell me that you weren't teached jQuery and you are so good in JavaScript, I get it. I will give it to you. But if you in the past you were really very good with jQuery, and now because it is trending, you change your way of doing things, and now you want to write plain JavaScript, I assure you that you're wasting more time looking for documentation on how to do stuff that you know already how to do in jQuery than to updating the jQuery library. I don't want to hear it. And there's a lot of other arguments. I hate CSS. And you will say, what CSS have to do with this? CSS is my weakness. Like I see that everything is easy in my field, but CSS. I don't feel comfortable with CSS. I don't like CSS. I don't know why. But I rely on Bootstrap library, and my application seems to be very pretty. Oh my god, you know a lot of CSS. I don't. I just understand the Bootstrap library. But even by, for someone like myself that hates CSS selectors, I find very easy to actually even search for the selector on Google, and jQuery will let you pick any place on the DOM, and CSS selector have a logic that is very easy to follow and is very flexible. And you will tell me, oh Sammy, you're out of date, JavaScript is easier today. Okay, but if you learn plain JavaScript first, I will give it to you. I'm not really sure you will find those great plugins just in plain JavaScript, not all of them, maybe the majority of them nowadays. But if you right now just sit down on that computer and it's easier for you to to write plain JavaScript, I will give it to you. Otherwise, you are losing your time looking for documentation just because it's trending. Oh my God, I need to use plain JavaScript now. I need to get rid of all my jQuery libraries because I need to rewrite. People are rewriting entire front end just to get rid of jQuery. What are you doing? They are doing that because it is trending, because jQuery is not being used anymore. Everybody is doing it. I should do it because everybody is using plain JavaScript. That's the reason why everybody's not a high performer. That's the reason why everybody can't, be a maybe a high performance, whatever. I think I said that already, but I will not modify this video. So I get that the majority of people is doing that, but if you know something in life, usually what the majority of people do is not the actual correct things to do. So that's stupid. If you're writing your whole front end just to get rid of jQuery, that's stupid. And if you are and there are some arguments out there that I can understand, but I will not conceive any argument that have to do that I'm in charge of a front end project and I prefer to use plain JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript for the entire front end project instead of using a JavaScript framework. I don't use JavaScript frameworks myself. I was about to learn of one, Angular, because I like how it looks and how it works. I understand how it works. I usually use Razor, stuff like this in Within.net, but I was about to learn it until I found out of .NET MAUI, and I want to learn that instead. But I know how it works, and it will be a lot easier to just write in plain JavaScript, so I don't want to hear it. There's no argument. If you are writing plain JavaScript for maintaining a whole front end or rewriting stuff to get rid of the jQuery, you are wasting your time and you are billing your client for the wasting of your time and the time of the client, the entire project. That's it. I need to breathe because I get passionate. I'm a passionate guy. So, manually formatting your code. So, I will pick apart Python developers for this one because I know that Python, indentation actually matters for Python. I'm not going to say here that indentation is not important for the other language, so bear with me. On this one, I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say that. Actually, I have some kind of OCD, so if I don't have my code properly indented, I can suffer a heart attack, as many of you guys actually feels. The problem is that developers feel so smart because they indent the code manually. So let me get this straight. I'm not saying that you are going to write your code, blindly, because even by writing it, if you don't indent it in some, proper way, it will get confusing, and we don't want to work with a code that is confusing because then we are overcomplicated. The stuff that we are writing, that's not the message that we want to send. But developers, I have seen many developers that they write a lot of code, right? And they are actually making proper, minimum indentation, and then they finish, 500 line of code, and then they go manually and try to indent things like, okay, these values are separated by comma, let me put all of them new lines, and they go to the end of the value of each value. Maybe can be arguments that are passed throughout a method or a function. So they go, maybe they want to indent that, and so they go at the end of each argument that is being passed throughout that method, and they click the enter button, and so they need to do that 5 times. Maybe 5 arguments to one method is a lot. I don't know. Some developers will think that. I don't care about the actual quantity, but if you have 3 of them, you need to go to each of them and click enter to actually have a new line. And that's just a small example of the behavior that I've seen a developer doing after they wrote the code that is you know, have the minimum proper indentation to actually, indent it or make it even prettier by doing this manually. You are not smarter by doing that. You have a lot, my goodness, a lot of tools that will make the code prettier for you. And I will not mention them because they are not paying me. But there are a lot. Just cool search, make my code prettier, beautify my code is the actual query that I use in Google. For querying Google, I mean the actual search that I do in Google is beautify code or beautify my code. You can you can even write, indent my code, whatever. You will find a tool that you can copy your and paste your code and then paste it back to your code editor. And if you don't want to do that, then there will be a plugin. There will be something that you can use in the text editor that you are using, or EDE that you're using, Visual Studio Code, I don't know, Eclipse, I don't know, I don't, not a lot of stuff about, a lot, I don't know a lot of details about other technologies outside of .NET, even though I'm starting to work in the Django now and a little bit of Python, but I'm pretty sure that nowadays, even with Visual Studio Code, like Visual Studio Code now is being used because it's pretty, it's easy to use. I find easier to stay with the IDE that you already have. But if you want to, to use Visual Studio Code, that's okay. There will be a plugin. There will be something where you can just click and it will format the code for you. So I'm in favor of you do to to do proper indentation, and maybe proper indentation is good enough. I will not judge that. But if it is not good enough, uh, you will not go flow like through thousands of line of codes indenting your code. You are losing your time. You're wasting your time. Click the, I don't want to use any swearing, but click the button and click format, and that will be done for you. Oh, now you're going to say, oh, but oh, Samuel, you know what happens that I have my proper way to indent code, and when I click one of those, they have like a default way to indent the code or to format the code. The majority of serious code formatters out there had a lot of options that you can actually, by clicking, picking them, what do you want to use. I want to split arguments in a method? Do I want to, I don't know, do I want to do do I want to, I don't know, make double space or one space after I don't know, create an object or whatever. There are a lot of options that you can use in the formatter, and you can pick them up and you can format that formatter, if that makes sense, in a way, or configure it is a better way, is a better word, in a way that you just can then after that just you do that just one time, and then you keep clicking on that format, and that will format the code for you. So I understand there are not that many developers that actually write hundreds of thousands of line of codes. Maybe you are a I don't know, a developer, you work in network administration and you just need to write a little bits of code. Maybe you're in cybersecurity, you don't need to actually, cybersecurity is a better example. There's a lot of tools within cyber that do not exactly need coding, but if you can code within them, it is even better. So you will write small scripts, so that doesn't apply for that. If you are writing a small script, I get it, just indent it manually, because then it will be harder to actually download a plugin and integrate it. But if you are like me and like many developers, I'm sorry, like many developers that work with code every day and have many projects or some big projects in your hands, and you have thousands of lines of code, or you want to format someone else's code, just please use a formatter. You are not smarter by formatting the code manually. You are dumber for doing that. I'm sorry, English is not my native language. So let's go to the next one, and that's called writing excessive comments. So I don't like to attack anyone. So anyone in particular. So when I speak about software developers, I just say developers or engineers. But you know that there are some hierarchy. You will have the junior programmer. You will have the maybe even the mid developer, then the senior. Sometimes you have the architect that is in a lower level. So this time I will break my own rule and I will say this is more for architects, although in small companies that the developer lead also does the architect job. And this is for those leads out there also, and for anyone else doing this bad practice. I call this a bad practice, over commenting. So there's a pattern that I've seen a lot, is like to include a comment, a header, like a header that is all commented with the first the name of the person that actually wrote that method, the purpose of the method, and so on. The problem that I have with that is that I'm not going that far, because there are a lot of people, not a lot, but there is a part of the community that thinks that actually a good enough a great code base is self-documented if you write it the right way. If you use meaningful words, meaningful names for variables, for methods. I'm not going that far, but you know I know what you are thinking. Oh my god, Simon, you are going to also say or tell us that we should not comment the code because that's losing time. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that you know if we have 10 methods, we will need 10 headers, and that can sound even likable. Like, okay, I have a header with the name of the person that actually wrote this, because if I have a new developer that comes here, he will have the name of the developer that actually wrote this. And because methods will have a lot of versions, we will have, like in the comments, the name of the latest person that touched this code. Fine. The problem is that you don't actually go faster by doing that, and I will give you an example. Let's say that you go to a new code base and you don't understand what the hell is going on with that method, but that method is failing. So in the header, it says that the last person who touched this code base is named Samuel Otero. So now you don't know who that person is, but that person is still working in in your company. So you go and try to contact this person, but programmers do not have a lot of time left in their lives, and so maybe this person is busy, maybe I'm busy enough. So you take like 2 days to create a meeting. You actually schedule a meeting quick enough, but it should be from 2 days onward because I will be busy the next day. So you're happy because you think that I will have the answer because I should be the last person who touched the code, because that's what the comment says. Only to figure when I actually join your meeting that I'm not the last person who touched that, and that specific or those specific line of code that you are referring to are not actually me. So you lost 16 hours maybe of labor hours to actually realize that you just lost your time, a time that you built to your client, and so on and so on. And I sound like a broken like a broken record here, but you lost too much time on that because I wasn't actually the one who last touched the code, because the actual person who did just forgot to include the comment, forgot to include themselves in that header. Now you did lost time. And actually to know who was the last person, or even who was the person who wrote any kind of code, you can just right click your IDE and pick the command blame from the Git. Don't go out there and try to write that command and just stuff like that. You just right click on it, click blame, and Git will actually blame the person who wrote that, and you will have the information that you need. So relying on comments for in order to try to save time in the future does not work, because that requires that every single developer will follow the rules, and they won't. Some of them won't. That's one thing. The other thing is that in that headers, architects sometimes and many leads out there, sometimes there are leads that do not want that, and I know, but many leads out there maybe want that header includes explanation, basic explanation of what that method does. That's losing their time because in that part, specific part, I will side with the people that says the self-documented code. Good written code is self-documented. So in that specific scenario, I will side with them because you don't need an explanation for every single method out there. Just for some of them. What method does need some kind of explanation? Let me give you an example. If you have a method that it will be used, especially helper methods that you created just to split, maybe you are reading a string, a comma delimited string somewhere, but you want to create a generic method, a reusable method that you can actually use to split whatever string that I receive that is delimited with whatever character that I choose. So I might create a helper class, a helper method for that. And if I have that method and the method is called string delimited splitter, and that method does not rely on any business rule, um, then why will you describe that like in the comment? It is there, the name is enough, string delimited splitter, and that should be enough. You are being redundant by actually trying to describe that in the comments. So what type of methods will I comment? Will I like to actually go ahead and create some kind of header? Well, methods that are business dependent. Methods that doesn't matter how much knowledge does the programmer have, they will not know by first glancing at it the purpose of that method, because that method do not depend on the background or nor the knowledge of the developer to understand that method. It depends of the developer having been in the process where that business rule was discussed. So if a new developer comes and see a method, it doesn't matter the name that it has, it can be great. But sometimes if a method is business dependent, that's where I cannot side with the people that says uh, the great written code or a code written in the right way is actually self-documented, because to understand that code at the first glance you will need some kind of knowledge in the business, and maybe you are a new developer in the project. It doesn't matter if you are, I don't know, a top voice in LinkedIn about development. You will not know the purpose of the method. So for those cases, I you know kind of like those headers comments, but for the majority of cases you're wasting your time. You don't need to describe every method out there. You don't need to write the name of the last person who touched it, because that's the reason why you're using a version control that has some kind of blaming feature. And moreover, if you give functionalities or scalability, you put that in the hands of humans, and humans commit errors. I'm not talking about git commit. I'm talking about humans actually do errors. Create errors, do wrong things, forget about things. So if your comment of the history of your documentation is based on the perfection of the human beings, and then your architecture is wrong. I don't care what kind of architect you are. If you work for whoever, that's wrong. So that's why you rely on automatic versions controllers like Git. I don't know, Subversion, whatever you use. So yeah, that's about it. So for the fifth and last topic here, and this will hurt a lot of feelings, and if you don't hate me enough, Now you will, because they will touch a lot of feelings. Because a lot of software developers actually live on their basement, if either creating design patterns, trying to create the next big design pattern, or just debating on internet, on Reddit, on Stack Overflow about what design pattern is better. So that's why I call this part of this last part of the podcast the obsession with design patterns. So this is a serious issue because and we arrive to the point where you will understand me, but a bad choice of design patterns or overly use the overuse of design patterns is sometimes, I'm not saying always, sometimes is the culprit of deadlines that cannot be accomplished and broken relations, I mean, between um, consulting companies and their client. Or can even be the reason why you as a consulting company lose your client to another vendor. Most of it, not most of it, but some of it is design pattern, bad design pattern. Because design pattern, a lot of, I swear, oh my god, goodness, I swear that a lot of people live by, a lot of engineers feels the need to be validated. So they are go to the basement, create the next design pattern that is actually very complex, and they just show it out there. A design pattern is supposed to have within other purposes, is supposed to have the purpose to make the application easier to be modified and to make the scalability in the future of that application easier. But if the design pattern doesn't take into account the step of the learning curve that new developers coming in will have, then how much you are speeding up, or how much you are increasing the speed of the modification, future modifications of your application, if that design pattern will needs even tutorials, it needs to write a whole book to actually understand it. So how that design pattern is actually helping your application to be easier modifiable, I don't know. So I would give you an advice. I don't know. I'm not that young anymore. I'm 34 already, but maybe I don't know. I don't think I look that old. So maybe you don't take the advice because my manners and stuff. I talk about just a random guy. I don't know, but I will give you an advice anyway. Okay. So if you're an experienced programmer, an experienced developer, and you have been building software consecutively for 9, 10 years plus, and you reach to the point of your career that you actually even feel that development is becoming easier, and you hear about that new design pattern that is out there that everybody seems to be using, and you take it and you try to implement in your playing ground, and it's taking you too much time to either implement it or comprehending the benefit of the pattern, then that pattern is totally BS and will disappear. So you have two choices. You have the wrong choice, the one that we take the most, and I'm also culprit about that. So one choice is to actually, after you implement all of that, you are trying to understand, to comprehend what is the benefit of it, and you go to Google and try to convince yourself. Because you go to Google, someone explained to you the benefit of it, and you are not convinced. You are like, okay, but that doesn't really happen too much. I don't know if I should implement all of this. So you go to Reddit debate, you go to Stack Overflow page, and you start to try to convince yourself that applying that design pattern is beneficial, when most of the time it is not for your project. So yeah, don't make that choice. The right choice, just discard it forever, or if not forever, for a future update of that design pattern itself. You have already the story of Elon Musk. I don't know if you guys know, but uh, if you don't like Elon Musk personally, that's okay. That's not the topic. But this video. However, I think that the majority of us can agree that Elon Musk at least is not a moron. You know, I'm not saying that he is. I'm not saying that he's not. I don't have any. I actually like Elon Musk, to be honest. But uh, if you don't like Elon Musk personally, that's another topic. Maybe politically, or you have some conspiracy theory about him. It's okay. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we can agree that he's not a more, right? At least not in the business side, the technological side. He's a great accomplished man. Various topics. He has Tesla. He has SpaceX, so on and so on. So when Elon Musk arrived to Twitter, he noted that some application, that some part of Twitter, now called X, took 2 to 3 seconds to load between pages, some stuff like that. I don't recall the story, but you can search that on Dr. Milan newsletter, and this is actually a free advertise. But I just love Dr. Milan. But whatever. So he explained in that letter, that in that publication or that post, that when Elon Musk arrived, he was questioning why some of the transitions within Twitter product were taking.
Sorry about that. So my phone's just
Turn off in the middle of the video, so I will need to edit that. But yeah, what I was explaining is that when Elon Musk arrived to Twitter, he actually uh, noticed that some transition within some places in Twitter were taking a lot of time, and transition that did not actually transfer a lot of data within them. And when Elon Musk asked the engineers, the problem were the microservices, because there were a lot, and the quantity of the microservices was so great that, well, I will not explain the reason right now because that's not a topic in question here. What I want you to know is that after Elon Musk did an investigation with the engineer, they came to the conclusion that Twitter could work at the same of efficiency, if not even better, with 80% less of those microservices that were running in production. So they did that, and now Twitter works a little bit more efficient, a little bit more faster. I haven't heard anyone talking about that Twitter is not working anymore, at least not technically, that it's not working anymore how it used to. uh, that's another topic for another day about exactly. I want to make a topic about microservices and monolithic applications. I'm not doing that today, but I wanted to mention the microservices stuff, because when I was younger and this microservice stuff started to take fire and everybody was speaking about microservices, I told my lead at the time, I had only like 6 years of programming experience. I read about it and I was like, this is totally BS. And he answered that I was crazy, that I was too young, that I need to learn more. Now, after many years, one of the top voices on planet Earth about software architecture is talking about how the trending just fell off from a cliff, and this is from actual data that he present on the newsletter. This fell off of the cliff, and now we are talking about modular monolithic applications, because okay, we don't want monolithic applications, we don't want application to be tightly coupled in everything. We want modular monolith applications to have module within monolith applications. What was actually pretty much the thing that every single lead out there, because before this microservice came into place, that was actually the goal of the majority of leads. It's just to create some modules within a monolithic application, but now we gave it a new name because we need something new to be trending. The reality of it, that microservices fell off a cliff. I'm not saying that microservices are bad. The microservices are very good for some occasion, for some environment, for some projects, for some situations, as it is every single other kind of approach, design pattern, or architecture out there. So don't don't go into the frenzy of what it is trending right now, because a lot of that can disappear in the future. And I assure you that even if I like, because I do like microservices in some cases, like, and I understand the purpose of it. It's not like it's some design patterns that you can actually implement it and you don't even understand the benefit of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, I do understand the benefit of microservices. It's not that hard to do, but it's just that it solves a problem while it creates a whole of other problems. And we actually needed to create new software to solve the problems that microservices creates in the first place that monolithic didn't have. So at the end of the day, every single architecture out there can be applicable for some projects. It doesn't mean that you need to apply that architecture or pattern to your own project. So don't commit this error. I mean, don't uh, make this mistake. Do not, when a client is talking, or when a project manager or your client explaining to you what he does need of that new application, that you will have the opportunity to write and feel so good about yourself anyway, even if you don't apply the latest design pattern that is trending. Before you start to thinking, I don't know, the BFF pattern, what I should apply here, clean code architecture, a microservices architecture, BFF pattern, I don't know, NTR architecture, test driven development, so on. Do you understand the business need? Do you even understand what your client is saying to you? What's the problem that he have? Do you even understand the business need? Do you even comprehend the problem in order to make a proper solution? Why are you thinking about test-driven development, MTR architecture, clean code, not even MVC, MVVM, uh, BFF, microservices, monolithic? Did you understand the problem that the client is having? Do you have a solution in your mind before you starting to apply all of that BS? If you do, then congratulations, you start to applying some of that BS. Just do not mix those, and just do not do stuff just because you feel so smart for doing it. So, I we reached the end of this podcast. I have been having a great time here. Bear with me a little bit. English is not my native language. This is the longest time that I have been speaking English in consecutive minutes or hours, because I have, recorded other videos that I don't like and I just delete. I re-record it again. So I have been a public speaker before, but just not in English. So this is the first time that I actually, pass a lot of time speaking in English. So if you hear that some misspelled words, you bear with me. I will keep doing better and better. And I'm grateful that if you watch all of this, I'm very grateful. And I have my content manager assistant, the content manager assistant of this newsletter. She's all over me, asking me for a conclusion video. I'm very tired right now. It's 3:42 a.m. where I am right now. I'm a little bit sick, so sorry about that. But yeah, I think the content itself is rich. I hopefully I don't hurt that many feelings. The purpose of this is not to making enemies. The purpose of this is to actually say stuff without filter, saying stuff that a lot of people thinks, but they do not dare to speak about, or at least not in public. And I shall say that even if I didn't mention the company that I work for, if you by any means you know me personally, or you have my LinkedIn contact, or the company that I work for, do not sponsor this, and the company that I work for do not necessarily uh, uh, agree with all the points that I make, and they do not have anything to do with this video. This is a personal project that I have, so they are not responsible for anything that I say. So yeah, this is just me. This is who I am. This is who I am also within the project. I'm working with our clients and our team. So yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching all of this. Go to f5build.com and subscribe. First, I spoke about the first 25 subscriber will be will receiving. I'm sorry, will be receiving all the future paid content for free forever. So that stands, but I'm thinking about increasing the size, maybe the first 100 subscribers or something. I don't know. I can come with a crazy idea. So if I were you, I just subscribe. The paid content would be even a lot better than this. I will be in some cool stuff that you will not find in Udemy, or and I just make another unpaid announcement or sponsor, but you will not find some of the content that I will give there, that I will show there in any of these learning platforms. So, and that will be for free forever for subscribers for a very, for a bare minimum price monthly. So, but if you subscribe now, you maybe get a free, uh, with no paywall, a free access for that paid content forever. So thank you so much. I appreciate for you guys to be here, and hopefully I reach a lot of people with this. I don't know how many people I will reach with this, but hopefully the right person listen to this and can do better and make their team more efficient, actually uh, concentrating in the business needs, in that client need, uh, and not concentrating so much about how your manager or the people around you see you or think about you, that you feel the need to overcomplicating things by applying stuff that maybe doesn't matter or do not help, I shall say, your specific project. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going home now. I'm tired. So I have the black eyes already. I always have black eyes, but black circles? That's how you call that in English? I don't know. I'm just out. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. With the number fourth, uh, writing excessive, preferring vanilla JavaScript instead of using word, the composed word over commenting uh, comments. Um,